You are listening to the Children of Film podcast.
We're a 1.5 hour long dick joke.
We're gonna fucking... Who talks first? You talk first? I talk first?
You talk first? Alright, I'll go. Welcome back, Children of Film listeners. It is I, your humble host, Jaren. With me today is my co-host, but equal co-host, Jacob. We are your patrons of film today, and we're going to be taking you through this podcast. How are you feeling, Jacob?
I'm pretty good, actually. That's all I got.
The connoisseurs of true YouTube filming podcasting. So let's go on to this. We got a quite a big show today. We actually got a lot of news today, which is a change. Usually we have like one thing and we're like, do we have to talk about it? But we got some cool things today, some funny things. And we got a top 5 that we were like, I guess we'll do this one because there was nothing else. But, you know, fun, excitement, jokes, quips.
We were actually going to have a guest today, but the piece of shit had to postpone, so
yeah, how dare he get
yeah,
an assistant manager job and work 13 hours? What a
prick.
Yeah.
But no, on our next show we will be having a guest, probably for the whole show, so that should be a lot of fun. Bit of a different
special
sort
guest,
of dynamic.
Surprise.
No, it's not you, Blake.
You
fucking wanker.
Fuck you, Blake. No one asked you. But no, he's a funny dude. We'll keep his identity a secret until next week. But no, it'll be exciting. But yeah, today we've got a pretty good podcast. After next week, we might be a while between our next podcast because Jacob's moving and he has to get everything set up. But
I'm a busy boy for the next few weeks. So yeah, our awards are going to be from my new place, which should be fun.
Yeah. Children of Film Awards.
I'm so keen, bro. Like, you know, yeah.
Yeah, well, that was a good description on how you're keen.
Are we gonna get the previous winners to present like this year's awards? Like, is Jake Gyllenhaal gonna present Best Actress this year?
Yeah, wasn't that the plan?
Yeah.
That's.
I don't know if we just wanted to. I don't know. I don't know if we're just gonna have Chris Hemsworth present everything, or if we're gonna share it around a bit.
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe we'll give Jake Gyllenhaal animated or something, but I think Chris Hemsworth has...
I'm going to put an end to this painful attempt of us trying to be funny. So let's get onto our diary display, where we talk about some of the shit we've been watching over the past week or so. Well, since we last did a podcast. Jaren, you want to get us started here?
Oh, I'd love to, mate. So I watched The Shape of Water, 2017 movie.
I'm too jealous.
And I won't talk about it much because I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, including Jacob. But it's in my top 10 for 2017. It's fucking marvelous. Guillermo del Toro has done it again. It's his best film since Pan's Labyrinth. And I loved it. I watched Groundhog Day, and I really enjoyed it. Bill Murray's great in it, but I didn't love it.
It is a little boring.
Yeah, a little. I did a movie night, which you can go watch after this podcast. Not right now, that'd be a bit rude. Or do it now. It's up to you. It's your life. But
don't watch it.
I watched... Thanks, man. I watched 2 2017 movies that were in my top 10 or 15 that I wanted to solidify before I finish my list. And you can go check them out there. That's Wind River and The Big Sick. I watched Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo. I really loved that. It was fantastic, especially the ending. I watched Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. I also really loved that. I liked it more than you did, actually.
Paul Newman's smile could, save a life.
Robert Redford and Paul Newman together are so damn good. They're just so good together. I watched Apocalypse Now, and it may well be one of the best movies I've seen all year for first-time watchers. I think it's first or second. I love the shit out of it. It's so fucking good. The cow chopping at the end was a little bit unnecessary.
Fuck that scene.
Like, I would have loved it a lot more if it was an animatronic, because I like what they were going for. I like the metaphor behind it, but I mean, knowing that it's a real cow is just kind of gruesome to me. But it's still a fantastic movie. It didn't hinder my liking of it too much. I obviously, like I said, I fucking loved it. I watched The Squid and the Whale by Jacob's favorite director, Noah Baumbach.
He's like 1 out of 6, I reckon.
I really liked it. I thought it was great. I liked the Jesse Eisenberg's character arc. I liked the writing was fantastic. It was kind of a personal story to him, and I kind of connected with that. And yeah, I really liked it. I thought everyone was great, especially Jeff Daniels as well.
Great performances, terrible people.
You gotta have them. They gotta be terrible to go through an arc, Jacob. You can't have them.
But they're still
You can't have them be
terrible at
nice
the
the whole
end.
time. Well, one of them is, and that's because he poisoned Jesse Eisenberg.
No, Jesse Eisenberg is a prick.
Yeah, he is, but towards the end he redeems himself.
Not really.
I don't know if you
doesn't-
finished the movie.
doesn't
mate.
he-
I feel like you stopped watching it.
Isn't
an
he
hour
with
in.
some chick, and doesn't he tell her she's not right for him because she has freckles or some shit?
Like 45 minutes in.
What a cunt!
When he's... No, yeah. See, he's a bit of a wanker because his dad, Jeff Daniels, kind of tells him that, oh yeah, you could be doing a lot better, and kind of poisons his mind. And Jesse Eisenberg's like, yeah, maybe I could do a lot better. And then he tells her that, and it's a fucking
prick!
dick move. And then when he realizes
Doesn't the
that
little
maybe
kid
it's
jack
not,
off in the library?
Shut up. When maybe it's not. When he realizes that maybe it's his dad has something to do with everything that's going on, and maybe it's not just his mum's fault. He kind of second guesses everything his dad's told him, and he goes up to his mum, and I love the scene where he goes up to his mum, and he's like, I shouldn't have broken up with her, mum, I shouldn't have done that. And she's like, why did you? And he's like, oh, I thought I could do better. And she's like, what do you mean you could do better? And because that's what his dad told him. He's like, I thought I could do better. And she's like, what do you mean? And he just sits there, and he just thinks to himself, and he's like, I don't know, because he's just gone off what his dad's told him. He doesn't think for himself, and he's finally come to realize that.
No, I totally get what you're saying. Like,
yeah, that's fine. Well, yeah, that's fine. I can see why someone would not like it, because he's for some people he would be irredeemable.
like I think it is a well written movie. The script is pretty
Oscar
funny.
nominated. Yeah,
And it's pretty well done. That's my problem with just about every Baumbach movie. I think the characters are always such arrogant pricks that I just can't get behind it. Like, just like it's every movie.
Speaking
like,
of-
well off fucking white hipsters doing shit. Like, who cares?
Speaking of, that's kind of what I thought of Margot at the Wedding, another
Yeah.
Baumbach movie. This one stars Jack Black, one of my favourite comedic actors. He's amazing, and he was really good in this. Really great. He's probably the best performance in it, in a movie that stars Nicole Kidman and Jennifer Jason Leigh, so that's saying something. No one in the movie is a really good person, and no one really goes through a change, which is what I didn't like. That's what I liked about The Squid and the Whale, but no one in this movie really goes through a change, and there's not one kind of redeeming character. Like, the little kid in Squid and the Whale was always a good kid. He was just going through a tough time.
Doesn't he
like
jack
jacking
off in the library? Yeah.
Yeah, and then he jacks off and wipes it on his crush's locker.
That's fucked.
Me. No. And then I watched our film swap, and that's it for me. You wanna go into yours?
Just with Baumbach, the reason I love the Meyerowitz stories is because I think it's the only movie of his I've seen that isn't cynical. Like, it's one that actually cares for its characters and wants to sort of mend their wounds rather than
I think
just
that
be
about
like,
Squid and
hey,
the
we're a
Whale,
bunch of
but
assholes.
In my opinion, Meyerowitz Stories is still his best far and away.
I love that movie as well.
Yeah.
And like I think the only movie of his that I truly hate is Frances Ha. I think all the other ones are just sort of in that sort of
That's
middling
next on my
sort of
list,
bracket.
so we'll see.
I like that. A lot of people think it's one of his best ones. I hate that movie with every fiber of my being. I'm curious to see what you think of it. Maybe we'll talk about it on the next podcast if you end up watching it.
I do.
Yeah, but that's why I'm kind of worried about Lady Bird. If it has any sort of Baumbach influence on it, I might not like it. We'll see.
Apparently it does. Apparently she borrows heavily from
I
him,
think
so.
Greta Gerwig's a great actor, but I fucking hate her in Frances Ha. And it's the character, it's not the performance. But anyway, that we'll leave that for another day. Fuck that movie. My diary display. I saw Pitch Perfect 3 in a theater. It's bad. It's just bad. Like, all I'll say is it's just a sort of bad movie. But John Lithgow plays a guy, and he does an Australian accent, and it made me want to end it all. I almost got up the morning after watching it and just thought, man, do I even want to do a podcast anymore? Do I want to do a podcast in a world where this performance exists?
We should do a top 5 worst Australian accents in movies.
Oh my god,
at
that'd
one
be
point.
fucking up there.
I know that a contender for my number 1. Quentin Tarantino and Django Unchained. That is offensive. Like that's my favorite movie. It's like my top 10 of all time, and that accent is offensive. Like, it hurts me. I'm like, I'm like, man, he can say all these N-words and I'm fine, but he attempts an Australian accent and I'm like, oh, dude, stop.
I think
What are
that
you
movie
doing?
gets a pass because of how just sort of over the top it is.
Jesus Christ.
And stupid.
It sounds like someone who has never heard an Australian accent. He's just gone off what everyone else sounds like. Jesus, yep, alright.
Alright, no, I watched Picture Perfect 3 just for John Lithgow's. It was actually... I was physically cringing in the theatre. I watched... Continuing my Sam Rockwell binge, I watched Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, which was a very, very stylish directorial debut from George Clooney's. But, yeah, it's about Chuck Barrish, I think his name is, Barrish something. He created some game shows and is a TV producer. It was about how he claimed to have led a double life as a CIA assassin. No one knows whether this was true, but the movie kind of shows him going on his CIA missions and shit, and George Clooney's like the shady fucking guy who recruits him and stuff, and it's pretty cool sort of look at his double life, and it's not so much about whether it was true or not, it's just sort of about what's going on inside this dude's head, and Sam Rockwell was amazing, and I think it was his first leading performance, and yeah, it's pretty good. I rewatched Good Time, one of my favorites of 2017, because Netflix added it.
Thank you, Netflix.
Like the day it came out on Blu-ray here. Well, not Blu-ray, because Australia didn't get a fucking Blu-ray release of it. We only got a DVD release, so thank you so much, Netflix, for doing that for me. I really appreciated it. Love the movie.
They put a fucking Ghost Story on Netflix.
If you've got Netflix and haven't seen Good Time, watch Good Time. Yeah, they should put Ghost Story on Netflix, shouldn't they? I want to watch that again too. I watched The Hustler, Paul Newman, the movie that Thingo was a sequel to, Color of Money. And it's pretty damn good. It's a very, very different movie to The Color of Money. It's a lot slower, and it's very much a character study. And I like that it just sort of subverts a lot of the cliches of the sports movie genre, because there's a sequence in this, this sequence is what would be the final showdown in most sports movies. But this thing happens like 20 minutes into the movie, and then the movie is about the aftermath of that and sort of, what happens. And it's about how Paul Newman as Eddie Felson, who is just great. He's not really
Fast
this
Eddie.
Pool hero. He's kind of a dick, and he's kind of an arrogant dick, and it's about him sort of realizing that maybe he's a loser. But it's a really, really, really good movie, and a really beautiful looking movie, and the pool sequences are awesome.
He can't realize it that much. I mean, he's still a dick in The Color of Money, so...
Maybe. He's not as much of a dick. Like, I wasn't expecting it in The Hustler. Alright, where am I? Watched The Polka King, Jack Black on Netflix, first Netflix original of 2018. They don't have a great track record, but I thought it was okay. The movie, it's by Maya Forbes, who did Infinitely Polar Bear, which is a movie that I really liked.
Love that movie.
Yeah, and this is nowhere near as good as that, but it's Jack Black that makes it. He plays John Lavan, this he's a polka guy, he's a Polish dude, and he basically ends up doing kind of a Ponzi scheme and committing fraud because he has a bunch of people invest in his shop that he can't pay back. And it's just fun watching Jack Black sing polka music and just be charismatic, and he does a really good Polish accent, and he makes the whole thing. So it is worth checking out if you like Jack Black. And yeah, that's why we're doing top 5 Jack Black movies later today, because this is out.
Yeah.
And he was also in Jumanji, which was pretty good. So yeah, Jack Black is the man.
Absolutely.
Rewatched Get Out, showed it to one of my friends, and he loved it, which was good to see. And that's my 6th time watching it, and yeah, it's just so much fun. And I've probably talked about it on the show before. I'll talk about it sometime at the end of the year, because it's one of the best movies of the year. And I'm just so glad to see it getting awards attention, because I never would have expected that. I'm just really proud of Jordan Peele. Speaking of Jack Black, I watched School of Rock. I saw some post about it, and I was just like, man, I've got to watch School of Rock again. So I watched School of Rock again. I put on my trusty old DVD of it, only to realize halfway through that it was on Netflix, so I turned it off and switched to Netflix for that HD quality. No, it's great. It's a whole movie about a dude fucking teaching kids to love themselves and be themselves, and, touching them and being touched by them.
Dude, that scene where the girl is like too scared to go on stage because she thinks everyone will call her fat,
and he's like, fucking list of some fat singers, like I can't remember who, and then he lists himself.
He's like, people
me?
love them. Yeah,
He's like, me? I got a weight issue, but I go on stage and I kill. And, you know,
He's like, people won't
she's
care
like, why don't
because
you go on a diet? And he's like, because I like eating. And, like, you know, he shows that,
Yeah, because I like eating. Is that a crime?
And, like, when the kid's, like, he assigns a kid to be security, and the kid's like, can I be the stylist? And he's like, absolutely.
Sure you can.
No
fancy
question.
pants.
Like, he's a freaking legend. And, the music is great as well. That song
It
later
is.
at the end.
It is really. All of the. I like the one.
Just
in the class
a
too.
great tribute to the power of rock and roll. And
is.
also, you're Ned Schneebly. I'm Dewey Finn.
No,
I
you're
am
the
Dewey.
Schneebly.
I am the Dewey
You
Finn.
are the
Hey. Which member of this podcast is fat? I rest my case.
Hey. Which member of this podcast has a beautiful singing voice? I rest my case.
Hey. Which member of this podcast has a girlfriend? Ned Schneebly does. Bitch!
Oh, well, guess what? Dewey Finn isn't a virgin, so... Bitch!
Neither of them are virgins, so that part doesn't even come into play, bitch.
Well, that's your opinion. Well, I'm charismatic, and I touch kids, so...
I love children. I'm Dewey Finn. Alright, I also watched Brick.
Fucking not.
Ryan Johnson's, I think it was his first movie, and it's a strange one. It's like a old school noir set in a modern high school, and they almost pulled it off. I mean, yeah, all the dialogue is sort of like shit you'd hear in like a freaking 50s, 60s fucking crime film, and it's like all these high school kids doing it. So it comes off a little cheesy at times, but it does have a little tongue-in-cheek sort of sense of humor to it. Like there's one scene where they're discussing some serious crime business or whatever, and in the background one kid's mum's like bringing him cookies and orange juice, and then, you know, in the next scene someone gets shot in the head. Like it's a weird sort of mishmash of tones. They didn't fully pull it off, and I didn't think the acting was that good, aside from Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who's really good. I thought a lot of the supporting cast didn't really do a great job, and but they'd got what they could out of the low budget, and I thought it was a pretty cool movie, and it shows that Ryan Johnson is a dude who is interested in doing shit that no one has seen before, because I've never seen a movie like Brick. I watched... God, I'm taking a while here. I watched Come and See, a movie I've been meaning to watch for a while. It's a Soviet-Russian war movie by Elem Klimov, I believe. And, you know, I've heard it's meant to be really good, and a lot of people have said it's like one of the most disturbing movies of all time. I don't know if I'd go about that far, but the third act is intense as hell. It's about this 13-year-old kid who... joins the Russian resistance, and it doesn't really have that much of a plot. It's just really a 2.5 hour trip into hell. It's just basically about the horrors of war, and it does have a few missteps. Like we said with Apocalypse Now, there is a moment of real animal cruelty that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and I checked out a little bit in the second act, but it is a very, very well-filmed movie, and I think it's actually incredible. The third act, there's a thing they do at the end that has to do with, I don't know, I don't really want to give away spoilers, but if you've seen it, you probably know what I mean. There's a thing they do at the end involving archive footage of the war that is absolutely incredible and really drives home the message of the film, and the main kid... Alexei Kravchenko did a really, really good performance, and yeah, it's a great movie. I recommend. Alright, Noah Baumbach, While We're Young. You know, it crossed another one off my list. I watched that. Again, I put it in the squid and the whale category. Where I didn't hate it, I just didn't find it all that involving. It's like... Ben Stiller really likes playing dudes going through a midlife crisis. He's just this sort of insecure... this is better than Brad Status though. He's just this sort of he's this documentary filmmaker, and he's like feels like he's out of touch and stuff. And then he befriends a young couple played by the man Adam Driver and Amanda Seyfried, I believe. And they just start hanging out and stuff. And I don't know. It's just a bunch of hipsters hanging out. It's like, oh yes, we like art. You know, we ride bicycles. Like, fuck you people. It was okay. Good performances. I just didn't find it all that.
You don't like art?
Yeah. And finally, the crown jewels of what I watched this week, Jaron.
Here we go.
Had to have a drink.
Rewatch
Paddington 1 on Netflix.
Paddington.
It's a bloody delightful movie. If you'd remember, Jaren gave it to me for a film swap for a while ago, and I was a little lukewarm on it, mostly because I think I was just like, Jaren fucking making me watch this movie, god damn it. But no, watching the second one retroactively made me like this more, and I watched it again, and it's delightful. It's so funny. It does a great job setting up the character, considering I never really knew anything about Paddington before this. It does a great job showing me who he is, what he stands for. His relationship with Aunt Lucy is very touching, and it's really funny as well, and a lot of great sort of slapstick comedy and stuff. And the second one, Paddington 2, I've rewatched that in theaters for the second time, and it's marvelous. I've raved about this many times on the podcast, and that's not going to change, because this is a movie that everyone needs to watch. I've been trying to talk to everyone I know and trying to get them to watch it. And no one's really listening at this point, but it's fantastic. It's a goddamn masterpiece of a family movie. It has everything you need. It's smart. It doesn't treat their kids like idiots. It took me out of my own world, made me forget about all the shit that's stressing me out, like with moving and finding a job and stuff. All that shit that's stressing me out, it just took me completely away from that. Into this fantasy world where everyone is nice to each other, and it's a movie about, seeing the good in people, being good to people, and it's visually amazing. The production design is incredible. Paddington 2, it made me cry 3 times when I watched it this time, and it's just kids' movies should not be allowed to be this good. Humanity honestly doesn't deserve Paddington 2. If you haven't seen these movies, go see them now.
Both of them, yeah. Great films.
Paddington 2, man. It's the fucking... It's the Terminator 2 of kids' movies, It's the Dark Knight of kids' movies.
It is. It's the Aliens of kids' movies.
A lot of people would say the Godfather 2 of kids' movies, but I think this movie kicks the shit out of the Godfather 2.
Oh, Jesus. Settle down. Settle down. You worked yourself up a bit.
No, I think this movie is a lot better than the Godfather 2.
Okay.
Didn't you hear me talk about it last week? I thought that movie was alright. It's not a bloody masterpiece of its genre like Paddington 2.
Don't leave us, please. Keep listening. There's a midlife crisis here. Just keep listening. Don't tune out yet.
Paddington 2 is now the official movie of the Children of Film podcast, Jaren. Do you accept that?
Oh, mate. I'm all for it.
For real. If you are listening, I implore you, go see this movie. Every kid needs to watch it. It will make you into a better person. Hugh Grant is hilarious in a BAFTA-nominated performance as Phoenix Buchanan the villain. He's equal parts funny and menacing.
He's a bit of a big rig. He stole that fucking...
Sally Hawkins is great, as is Hugh Bonneville.
Paddington Bear didn't steal that book, Jacob, but he stole our big hearts.
Ben Whishaw gives a brilliant vocal performance. Brendan Gleeson is great as a prison inmate named Knuckles, spelt with an N. It's the Grand Budapest Hotel of talking bear movies.
But better.
It's on par, I reckon.
Better. Yeah, better. Yeah. Jeez, you would autistic screeching. Paddington 2!
Paddington 2, Jaren. I'm mad because I'm trying to get my fucking sister to watch it and she won't.
Hold the Kingsman poster that she wants hostage until she watches it.
Paddington 2, man. This is the shit. It is the shit.
It is. It is the shit.
Alright. I'm done.
Alright, maybe it'll make an appearance in the Children of Film Awards. Who's to say? The thing that surprised me about Paddington 2, not to keep talking about it, is
I'm okay with that.
It's acclaim. Like no one I have seen disliked it. I haven't seen anyone that I know who disliked this movie. No one.
If you dislike this movie, you're probably a bad person.
Yeah. All right. I think this is a good segue to head into our news. We're gonna be doing news right now because Paddington that we're talking about has got an item on the news because Paddington 2 is now 3 reviews off tying Toy Story 2's Rotten Tomatoes record at 163 positive, 0 rotten. Right now, Paddington's on 160 positive reviews with 0 rotten, and yeah, it's almost taken Toy Story 2, which has been the record for like a decade. That's pretty dope. I think Lady Bird passed it this year, but then got a negative by Armored White. So I think it was
Toy
Story
Cole
2 still holds that. Oh, yeah, fair enough.
He's like, I
What a
don't think
wanker.
it deserves 100%. I'm a cunt.
Yeah, he gave it a C plus too. Like, I don't, whatever.
No, he gave it a B plus, and then he changed it to a C plus when everyone went off at him.
Jeez, what a prick. Yeah. So Jacob, we've got a couple things about Spider-Man that have come out this week. First of all, this is like all like speculation and rumor, but it's pretty solid at the moment. Is that Tom Holland was seen and taken photos of on set of Venom for 2 days, and it's been come out by someone who was doing, I think, the lighting, and he said Tom Holland is going to be in the Venom movie. What do you think?
Yeah. I don't want to be reporting fake news, but this does seem like it's worth talking about because, I mean, it might be nothing.
Take it with a grain of salt.
It might be nothing, but if it is true, I like it. But what does this mean? Does this mean it's like a Netflix series scenario where it's half in the MCU?
I don't know.
Or is it? But I don't know. It just feels like this is not something they would do. It feels like Marvel would not put him in this movie.
Yeah, they must have had to get Marvel Studios permission in some way.
And they're saying he was as Peter Parker. Like, that could just mean he was wearing normal clothing and visiting the set, you know?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
As Peter Parker. Like, Peter Parker doesn't really have a specific outfit.
But the thing is, I don't know why Tom Holland would be visiting the set if it's got nothing to do with his universe. Why would he be there?
I don't know, he's just good mates with Tom Hardy.
Is he? Oh, yeah, no.
I don't know.
No, I don't know. I was about to say they're in a movie together, but that was John Bernthal. They're both large, say, large men.
Large men who love dogs.
Yeah. But yeah, that is cool. And the second bit we have is in DC's attempt to stay completely backhand everything that they've ever said. To be the biggest hypocrites in the film business. They're staying away from Marvel at one point. They're not doing the same thing, but now they're trying to pin the Spider-Man Homecoming writers to write and direct the Flash movie.
That's so weird.
That is so funny. There's a picture of I don't know his name, like it's like Hoshiri Kurum or something like that. I don't know
the
it,
CEO.
but And he's like, oh, Marvel's formula have worked for them. We are not going to do that. We're going to make different movies. And then it's like DC pin Homecoming writers to direct the Flash.
That's pretty fucking funny.
It's like they're like, Marvel get movies made. We don't. Let's just fucking get them and get this thing done.
They've been copying Marvel the whole time. They've been trying to follow the same building a cinematic universe thing. And they just rushed it. They rushed it and fucked up.
They're like, we're not the same as Marvel because we're doing superheroes together instead of solos, and it turned out so much worse.
Have these two directed a movie before?
No.
I'm looking that up now.
No, I don't think they have. I know they've written movies before Homecoming, but they haven't directed.
Well, they didn't direct Homecoming either, so fucking.
Well, no.
Oh no, they directed Vacation.
Ah, that's right. They wrote it too.
So
to be fair. To be fair, they also wrote Homecoming, which is a fantastic script. I didn't see that coming from Vacation.
They also wrote and directed the upcoming movie Game Night with...
the thing is...
With Jason Bateman and shit. I don't know if that's going to be any good, but...
The thing is, Kevin Feige holds hands with everyone in the MCU, whether you're a writer-director, so I feel like maybe it had something to do with that as well. But
it's just like, it's a big, like...
Jacob, alright, so the Flash's costume is red.
There we go.
Red is the color of blood, and blood is used many a time in movies by director Quentin Tarantino. Nailed it. What a segue. Leonardo DiCaprio has officially signed on to Quentin Tarantino's new movie, which already stars like Margot Robbie and a lot of other people.
That's so cool.
This is awesome. I'm so glad they're teaming up again because he's so awesome in Django.
This article's still saying it's a Charles Manson film. It's not. It's like about.
No, it's set during the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Charles Manson
isn't it about
will be
an
like
actor or something.
Yeah, it's about. I think it was like something, a murder on a movie set.
This actor?
A murder on the movie set or something. I don't know. That'd be cool. But I feel like he'll have like the kind of role that like maybe something like a Hitler in Inglourious Bastards, where he's like in a like you know, the story is in a few scenes, but it's not what it revolves around.
Yeah. No, it'd be cool to see him and Margot Robbie work together again. It'll be cool to see him and Tarantino work together again. And I just want to see him in another...
Yes.
He hasn't done anything since The Revenant, has he?
No.
Yeah, so...
Not since
And
The
he
Revenant.
seems to have a lot of shit in the pipeline, but
So
you don't
4
know
years.
what he's actually
Yeah.
doing first. Like,
God,
looks
I
like
hope he shows up
looks
in,
like Tarantino's really hitting the jets on this movie now. Looks like he's trying to get it done.
Well, he's got the script ready. He's just trying to get
probably won't come
production
out till
along.
2019, but
Yeah.
oh, he's got a movie coming
definitely
out
won't
in
be this year.
2018 called The Black Hand, according to IMDb. Although
Who does?
they haven't started filming yet, so that
DiCaprio.
might not come
It's
out.
not
either.
coming out this year then if it's not started filming, unless they do other post. But Jacob, blood, like I said, is in a lot of Quentin Tarantino's movies. You know where there's also a lot of blood? In the destructive path that John Wick leaves behind him in the John Wick series. Nailed it. This isn't movie news, but John Wick. It's been a while. It's been rumored for a while, and people were like, maybe it's greenlit, maybe it's not. The John Wick show, The Continental, the TV series, has officially been greenlit, and it's found a studio, and they're getting writers now. So it's 100% happening, and this is awesome. It's going to be about the comings and goings of assassins at the Continental. Keanu Reeves is tapped on to make a few cameos too. So
like a Hitler in Inglourious Basterds sort of role.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, if you're a Hitler in Inglourious Basterds sort of role in a movie, you're doing it right.
He gets shot to death.
Yeah, rip. No, not shot, ripped apart by submachine
Fucking
guns. Just
mown down.
mown down, as Sam Rockwell would say. But no, this is really cool. I'm excited for this
I'm
because
keen
I
for
always
this.
thought
I'm
it was a
definitely
good
gonna be
idea.
watching it. It's a
And,
really cool
yeah,
universe.
Yeah, and I think that the Continental lends itself to a TV series better than it would a movie because you can explore a lot more different people and different situations in a TV series, where in a movie you'd have to be more self-contained to one person or something that's happening, you know.
And
in a TV series, they can do a lot more.
The guy who's going to be showrunner worked on The Wire, which is meant to be a great show. So
that's meant to be, yeah,
that'd
one
be
of the
cool.
best shows ever. That is awesome. And yeah, that's about it for the news. All the news that we really care about, anyway. Do you reckon?
yeah.
He loves it. All right. So we'll go into our film swap for this week. If you don't know, I'll tell you. But if you do know, sorry, you listen to me explain film swap for the 27th time. Film swap is when Jacob and I have been begging each other to watch a movie. We finally get to give it to each other, and we have to watch it in time for this podcast so we can review it to each other. So this week I've been begging Jacob, just begging, mate, just on my knees, man. I'm on my knees. I'm praying for you to watch Robert De Niro's Awakening. It's a movie I watched last year.
By
and I
begging, do you
loved
mean
it.
you gave it to me last night?
Yeah, because I couldn't think of anything else. But no, I watched it last year, and I loved it because of the performance. It's a solid movie, but the performances by Robin Williams and especially De Niro are masterful. So I've been on a De Niro kick, so I wanted you to check this out. What do you think?
All right, now, most of the time when I do film swaps, I just trail off because I can't remember what I'm talking about in the movie. But I watched this literally, like, right before we started planning the show. So, like, 3 hours ago, 2 hours ago even. So, if I'm going to do my best here. Awakenings is about Robin Williams.
Oh, you're good. You're doing good so far, man.
All right, I'm kidding. Robin Williams plays Malcolm Sayer. He's a research guy, and it's about... what's the disease called?
A research guy.
No, he's a doctor. What's the
yeah,
disease called? I don't know, but there's these catatonic cunts who are just sitting around like, "Ugh," but they're not making any noise because they're catatonic.
It's
and
called.
They can't,
It's called.
they can't speak.
Encephalitis lethargica.
No, it's based on a real doctor whose name was Sachs or something, but they changed his name. They changed all the names for the movie, and he plays Malcolm Sayer, and he's a guy who's only really previously worked with non-human stuff like biology and stuff like that. But I don't know, not biology, but something. He's a researcher basically, and he goes to this hospital where they're looking after mental patients and stuff, and it's this. I can't remember what the disease called. It's called like something. It was some disease that swept in like 1917 to the 1920s.
It says it's called encephalitis lethargica.
Yeah, and it was some body disease, and the people who survived that sort of ended up just entering this catatonic state, and some of them have been like this for like 30 years. And he starts working with them, and he starts realizing that maybe they can wake up, and he'll throw a baseball at one of them, and they'll catch it. They can't talk or hear or anything, but they'll catch a baseball that's thrown at them. And he starts developing this drug by God, I'm leaning way towards the factual point of this. Basically, Leonard, Robert De Niro plays Leonard. He's a guy who's suffering from this, and he becomes sort of the main patient who he is experimenting on, and he tries this new experimental drug on him, and he wakes up after 30 years of being catatonic. He wakes up and he starts rediscovering the world and things like that. And I won't really tell you where it goes from there because it's kind of spoilers. But what I liked about this movie is that it's not that melodramatic or sentimental, and it easily could be with this subject matter. I read that it's actually a pretty accurate sort of description of how all this went down, because it is a true story, and it is pretty factual. It tells you all about the disease and about how they sort of got towards the medication and how it all sort of worked out in the end. And it's not it's an emotional sort of story, but it's not like manipulative or anything. And De Niro is great as this guy. He's charming, he's heartbreaking, and Robin Williams is amazing as well as this doctor. And I related to him because he's a shy boy.
He is a shy boy.
Yeah, and so that their whole dynamic was good, and his dynamic with one of the nurses was really good, and all performances were great, and it was a pretty damn solid movie.
Academy Award nominated performance by.
It's nominated for Best Picture too.
Damn. Nice.
But yeah, it's on Netflix if you want to check it out. I'd never heard of it before. Jaron mentioned it to me, so he mentioned it to me a year ago. But yeah,
yeah,
it was a good film.
Pretty sure I talked about it on this podcast. Actually,
I
I'm
guess
certain
I should
I
talk
did.
now. Jaron, I gave you again. We were just looking for stuff last night that's on streaming services to give each other, and I gave Jaron a movie that I watched a year or two ago, and I really, really freaking enjoyed it, and that is The Talented Mr. Ripley, the movie that inspired Tommy Wiseau to make his film.
Like Mark Damon from Talented Ripley, man.
Mark Damon.
So Talented Mr. Ripley, it's Matt Damon's movie. It's so good. Matt Damon, Gwyneth Paltrow, Jude Law, Cate Blanchett, Philip Seymour Hoffman. It's got a huge cast, and Matt Damon
Hoffman was in it. Nice.
Yeah, he is. He's not in it a lot, but he's good in it. Matt Damon plays Tom Ripley, and he doesn't really know where he's going in life. He's graduated from college. He doesn't really have a steady job or anything, and he graduated from college. He went to school with this guy called Dickie Greenleaf, one of the top 10 movie names of all time, by the way. Dickie Greenleaf, Jude Law, yeah. And basically, he sees Jude Law's, Dickie Greenleaf's dad somewhere, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, you knew my son?" He's like, "Yeah, I did." And the guy's like, "Well, I haven't seen my son in so long. He's gone to Italy. He won't come home. I need you to go kind of find him for me. If you find my son and bring him back to me, I'll give you $1,000. And Mark Damon's like, "Yeah," and he flies off to Italy and finds Jude Law, and he's there with his girlfriend Gwyneth Paltrow, and he meets Cate Blanchett on the way, and they have a cute little romance. And it's kind of hard to explain the plot of this movie because that's the first half an hour without spoiling it. I'm glad you didn't tell me what it was about. I liked figuring it out for myself. I thought it was going one way and then it went another way. It kind of keeps you on your toes. And I like the ending too. It's not your typical ending for how something like this, like a movie like this, would play out. You wouldn't expect it. And he kind of meets him, and he's talented because he's great, does like spot on impressions and fake IDs and stuff, and he loves.
He's a bit of a conniving little bugger.
Yeah, he likes becoming other people. He thinks living in other people's shoes is better than living in his own, so he likes like pretending to be other people, I guess.
Yeah, he sort of gets addicted to the Italian lifestyle.
Yeah, and you can kind of see where that's going, but I won't spoil anything for you. But it's just such a good movie. It was shot really well. The score is really great. I really loved how, again, they just kept you on your toes. You never really knew where it was going next. Cate Blanchett is so good in the small role. She's a top actress. Yeah, she's great. And
I might give you
I
another Blanchett movie next week. I don't know.
do it. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 out of 5, and it's in the upper echelon of movies I've seen this year in the 15 days we've been in this year. So pretty dope, Jacob. Pretty dope pick,
Dope
brother.
film written and directed by Rick Famuyiwa.
Shut up.
Came out in 2015, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, because
Starring Shamik Moore, Tony Revolori.
I saw it
Casey
as a double
Clemens.
feature with Dying Guy and me and Earl and
Dying Girl. I saw those on the same weekend as well, along with Straight Outta Compton.
Straight Outta
Which
Compton,
was
best of the
nice.
3 in my opinion.
And gay Australian movie Holding the Man.
Yes. All right.
You seen that?
No.
Oh, potential film swap, maybe, Jaron.
Potential.
Oh.
Yeah, well, you gave me Pride, and I didn't really like that too much.
Well,
so.
what? Because they're gay movies? They're the same? Huh? That's a bit
I'm just-
fucking homophobic.
Well, it's a genre, isn't it? Gay films, isn't that a genre?
No, I mean, some would consider it a genre.
LBTQ is a genre on Netflix.
Some would consider it a genre.
Although I do like movies like Call Me By Your Name and Brokeback, so it just depends.
Fucking Mountain.
Brokeback's the shit.
Call Me By Your Name is the best Fagler movie since Brokeback Mountain, I reckon. I don't think it's better than Brokeback Mountain, but I think it's the best one since.
Yeah.
Isn't Matt Damon a Fagler in Mr. Ripley, kind of? A little bit? No?
No.
No? Alright, I must be remembering it wrong.
I think maybe it's hinted at, but no.
I definitely think it was hinted at some point.
It was, but
Yeah.
he never does anything with a man.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna go on to our top 5. Jacob, play our intro.
Put your top 5. Who's your top 5?
I love that sound.
Fucking thing. It's a good movie.
So good. Thank you, Chris Rock, for introducing this segment once
Eminem.
again.
LL Cool J.
No! And the Sugar Hill Gang. No! Yeah. So this week we're doing.
Before the movies.
This week we're doing a surprise category. It's not Jack Black. It's actually top 5 movies where top 5 movies where a white female invents a new rice and goes over to India to implement her new rice, and it affects all the Indian farmers. And also, it's a musical, and it's got an Oscar-nominated actress, Oscar-winning actress in it, and it's a musical.
I'm so keen for Basmati Blues. It looks so shit.
This is a real movie. Look it up. It's got Brie Larson.
It's actually amazing.
Yeah, Brie Larson. It's a musical, and she plays a chick who invents this new rice, and it affects the Indian people she's trying to help. And
It's like
it's your
typical white
classic
savior bullshit.
white person goes to India to save them all, and it's just a musical. It's gonna be so good. Donald Sutherland. I hope he gets a villain song, like a Scar
The
from
thing
the Lion
is,
King kind of song.
I've always wanted to see Brie Larson in a musical. Why does it have to be this one?
So if you don't know, quickly, Balsamic Blues was filmed before Room came out. It was filmed
It was
3 or
filmed
4
in
years
2012, actually.
20 what?
Yeah.
6 years
I guess
ago.
I guess they've just been sitting on it, and they're like, she won an Oscar now. Let's put it out.
Well, I read that they showed it to people, and it was so racist and begotten to everyone that they decided not to release it. And now they're just kind of they're gonna try and sneak it out onto digital without telling anyone, because there's no advertising for it. We just
There's
found
a trailer.
it. Yeah, there is a trailer, but there's no ads for it. There's not Balsamic Blues out now,
Balsamic.
But balsamic vinegar.
Yeah, it's
blue.
about a chick who
Yeah.
who invents a new type of vinegar and saves all the
Yeah.
Indians.
Saves all the who eats vinegar? Italians? Yeah, saves all the Jacobs of the world. Saves all the children of films of the world.
Basmati Blues. Fuck. We
yeah.
should review that when we.
Oh yes, let's do a commentary for it. Alright, so now we're gonna do top 5 Jack Black movies. Jack Black is a really underrated comedic actor. One of my favorites. Probably top 10.
He just has so much charisma and energy.
I was about to say, yeah, he's got such an energy to him. And yeah, I'm so excited to see just where he goes, because he's done some great dramatic performances, some great comedic performances. You'd probably know him from Tenacious D, or his kind of big movies as like this goofy guy, but yeah, he's a really great actor when he tries.
Yeah, that. All right. Do you want me to start?
Yeah, go on.
I'm going to do some honorable mentions. One, I will mention Tenacious D. I don't think it's that good of a movie, but I think he's great in it, and I love their music.
Oh, it's entertaining.
So
as
I'll
fuck,
mention it.
yeah.
I'll mention King Kong. I remember him being good in it, but I haven't seen it in so many years that I can't really comment on it. And another movie like that is Be Kind Rewind, a movie that I remember really, really liking, but I haven't seen it in like 8 years, so I can't really put it too much higher on the list because I don't really remember it. But I remember it's good, and I'm probably going to watch it again sometime because I want to. No,
Nice.
Another honorable mention is one that very could have nearly made the list, and that is Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. Really, really fun movie, and Jack Black is hilarious in it. Steals the show, and that movie is just way better than it had any freaking right to be. All right, my number 5 is kind of a cheat. My number 5 is the Kung Fu Panda trilogy. I'm just going to put all these as one movie because they're his movies, and he's great in all of them as Po the Panda. And I don't know if I had to pick a best one. The first one's really good, but I also think the third one is fantastic and was so underrated, and it was such a fun movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, great animated movies. Great look at the sort of kung fu culture, and Jack Black is hilarious as Po the Panda. Oh, so that's my number 5.
He is.
Jaron?
I love Po the Panda. Alright, I'll go through my honorable mentions. First I'm going to throw Kung Fu Panda 2 and 3 out there. They're both great movies. Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. I was one of the... I'm happy to admit that I thought it was going to suck balls. But
yeah. I thought it was
It
gonna
was
be
really
like,
good.
I didn't want to see it. If it hadn't got good reviews, I probably wouldn't have even watched it.
Yeah, but it did. It got reasonably good reviews, and you know I like the first
Curvy
one.
Genius.
I think Zathura is better, but it was so good. The Curvy Genius, I really enjoyed it. It's so funny too. And I'm gonna chuck the Muppets on there. It's not his movie, but he's in it for a little bit. They kidnap him and make him host their show, and he's really funny in it. And also my last honorable mention, I'm gonna add the D Train. It's a small movie that came out a couple years ago, and it's got pretty poor reviews, but I enjoyed it. I think it's really underrated. It's got Jack Black, and he's like a loser at school, and at their school reunion, James Marsden, who everyone loved, he's like the jock. He's like really, everyone loves him. He goes to make everyone happy so he can kind of be popular. He goes and seeks out James Marsden, who's a famous rock star now, and brings him. It's basically get him to the Greek. If instead of the Greek, it was get him to the reunion party, because he's like this famous rock star. He's drugged out, and he keeps making the trip hell. And Jack Black's trying to take him back. It's get him to the Greek. But
Get
not
him
as
to the
good,
D
obviously.
train.
But Jack Black's so good in it. It's kind of dramatic and comedic. And Jack Black and James Marsden have a gay sex scene together.
Wow.
And it was so out there.
I'm gonna have to put it on the list now.
It was so out there. Mike White's in it, Jeffrey Tambor, Catherine Hahn. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Maybe if I rewatched it 3 years later, I don't know if my opinion would change. But yeah, it's just entertaining and funny and charming. Yeah, I did really enjoy it. I think it's underrated as hell.
That was
but
a lot for
I'm
an
happy.
honorable mention.
Yeah. Well, I had to talk about it because people would just go the D Train. That's got bad reviews. It's probably bad, so I had to defend myself. But if you don't like it, that's fine. Most people don't. I'm going to talk about my number 5, and this is King Kong. This is a movie I watched a lot as a kid because it was just so cool seeing this big ass gorilla on screen. But I always really liked Jack Black in it. He's kind of if you've watched Kong Skull Island, he's kind of the John Goodman character. He gets everyone to go there. He's really invested in the island and the monsters that live there. He's kind of
Then he gets eaten. I don't remember if he gets eaten. I haven't seen it in a long
does
time.
not. But yeah, I really enjoy this movie, not just because it's got such a big cast. Naomi Watts, Jack Black, obviously, Adrian Brody, Colin Hanks, Andy Serkis, Jamie Bell. It's got, and it's just so entertaining. I mean, it's really long, so, but when I was a kid, I didn't even care, It was just so good watching Jack Black lead this crew, go to this island, navigate around all these dinosaurs, and just watch King Kong beat the shit out of 3 T-Rexes at once. I always just... Yeah, I nutted at that part. As an 8-year-old, it was so good. But Yeah, I don't know if I haven't seen it in a few years, which is why it's not higher. But I just want to add the visual effects are astounding for a 2005 film. They hold up today as fucking brilliant. Like Peter Jackson is a connoisseur of visual effects, and this is no different.
All right. Now I'm getting to my big dogs. Now this one, as you said, it's not his movie, but if this is going by movies and performances, and this would just about be my favorite movie that he has been in, despite the fact that it's not his movie. And I'm saying the Muppets, and because it's an extended cameo. He's in it for like a good probably half hour at least, and they kidnap him and force him to be on their telethon, and he's really really funny in it. And but just as for the movie, it's delightful. Jason Segel is the man, Amy Adams is the man, and
he was missed from the sequel.
And it's not a Jack Black movie, but in terms of movies that Jack Black is in, this is one of the best, and that's why I'm putting it on my list.
Absolutely. My number 4 is going to be Kung Fu Panda, the first one. This movie, speaking of School of Rock, it has such great heart. The moral of the story is, it shows no matter what you look like, if you have a good heart, you can be the Dragon Warrior, Jacob. Poe, you don't when you look at warriors, you think, yeah, man, yeah, no, fuck, no. If you look like that fucking thing, you can't. But anything else, like you think of an animal warrior, and you think tiger, you think snake. Maybe monkey, I guess, but you don't think fat panda as like a kind of ninjutsu warrior, but
trash panda.
And he just bring like this could be some goofy, annoying ass character because all he does is fuck things up. He could be some annoying ass character where you're like, oh, for God's sake. But Jack Black brings such a charm to Poe the Panda. It's because like I feel like if Jack Black was an animal, he'd be like a panda, but he's just so charming, so funny, he plays off everyone so well, and I don't think this movie, I mean, it's got a great screenplay and animation, but I don't think it would have worked as well if Jack Black wasn't the lead, because he just brings such a humanity to
That's the thing
Poe.
with Jack Black, he is quite often the best part of
exactly.
every movie he's in.
Even the bad movie, he's the best thing in a bad movie. Like, I watched Margot at the wedding.
He has taken bad movies and made them good. Like, if he wasn't in The Polka King, I probably would not have liked that movie.
Yeah. I think he was my main enjoyment in Margot at the Wedding. I didn't really like anything about that except him. He was really
He's in it a lot?
Yeah.
I'm probably
almost
going to
the
watch
whole
that
movie.
at some point.
He's like the third main character, I'd say. Almost the whole movie.
Nice.
He's really funny. He has a mustache at the start, and the first time he meets them, they just sit there and he's like, did you notice the mustache? And they're like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I was shaving my whole face and I just decided to leave it there, it's a joke. Did you get it? And they're like, sure. And he's like, good. It's pretty funny. All right, your number 3?
My number 3 is what I think might just about be his best performance is Bernie.
My number 3 too.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I think we're going to have the same top 3. I'm not sure of the order, but I think we have the same top 3.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, Bernie is a fantastic little movie that I checked out a few years ago.
Oh, yeah. I recommended it to you.
Yeah, it didn't do a whole lot of damage. Not a whole lot of people talk about it, but it's a really freaking good movie. And of course it is by Richard fucking Linklater. And dude, Richard Linklater and Jack Black is just one of my favorite director-actor collaborations going around.
Seriously,
and I want to see them.
So
I want to see them do more. But this is a movie that. Really one of the first movies that showed you that Jack Black isn't just a great performer, he can be a great actor, because, this is a sort of, it's a more subdued role by his standards. I mean, Bernie is a sort of very, very charming guy, but it is a more sort of subdued role by his standards, and he's really, really damn good in it. And he takes this guy who did some, let's say, questionable things,
I guess.
but he's still that charming and lovable that you are unequivocally rooting for him the whole time.
Yeah, seriously.
Even when he does the questionable thing, you're like,
basically Bernie is like, it's a true story about this guy who he's so polite and so kind. He's the Paddington of humans, where to the point where everyone, like, he starts like no matter how nice he is to you, he never wavers. People like treat him like shit still, and he never wavers, and it just breaks him, and he does something in a split second, immediately regrets it. Oh no, he becomes this great guy again, but he has to deal with it. And yeah, Jack Black is so good. Yeah, it's a subtly humorous movie. Like it's really it is pretty funny, and it's also really dramatic, and he gets to pull out his dramatic chops. He gets to have his showy scene, and he's so good in it.
The movie's so good that Richard Linklater got the real guy released from prison.
Hey, exactly.
I think he lived with him for a bit.
Yeah, he lived with him for like 4 years. Yeah, and Matthew McConaughey plays. The thing is, I like about this movie is that it's set up in documentary format.
Yeah.
Even though it's not a documentary, Matthew McConaughey plays the cop, and they're talking like it's past tense, and then you see the movie for how it plays out. And Matthew McConaughey plays the cop who's kind of after him, and this was in the McConaissance, like towards the beginning of it, and it's just it's one of the most underrated Richard Linklater movies in my opinion. It doesn't get enough talk. I've barely heard anyone talk about it, and it's so good. I remember finding it in Video Easy for like $5 on DVD.
I too have a Video Easy copy of it, I reckon.
Oh yeah, and I looked it up for 90. I looked it up and it's got like 91%. And this is when all I looked up was like positive reviews for things. And I'm like, I'll watch it, and I watched it, and I was like, Jacob, you gotta watch it, and you're like, it's $5, I'll buy it, and you bought it, and then you're like, yeah, and I was like, yeah, and that was that.
That was a great story.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I am a connoisseur of storytelling.
All right.
I love the word connoisseur.
My number 2. I don't know if we're gonna have the same number.
My
2.
number
I
2.
feel like this could. No, we both just did our number 3.
What? So if we have the same tie, you just get to keep announcing yours? Bit of bullshit.
I went first, so I go first.
What?
There's a very good chance we could have the same movie here.
You can't just change the rules.
All right. On
All right.
3, say a quote from your movie that's number 2. All right.
All right.
All right.
Wait. All right. Wait. Let me. Wait. Okay.
1, 2, 3. Give me my
Okay,
fucking
fancy
jelly
pants.
beans.
Oh, different. My fucking jelly beans. All right. Well, we're different.
Be your number
We're
1.
different.
All right. My number 2 is Tropic Thunder. It's one of my favorite comedies. It's one of my favorite war movies, if you want to call it a war movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just great. I don't know if we've talked about this on the show before or not, but I've talked about this so many times in my real life, and I've watched this so many times, so it just feels like I have nothing more to add at this point. But it's just such a great idea. They're filming this war movie, and the actors aren't behaving. It's quite meta in that fashion. So they get dropped into a real forest. The film kind of just, the director gets blown up. Good old Steve Coogan, and then they
Jack Black basically plays Chris Farley, but with a different name.
Yeah. But yeah, since it's your number 1, I guess I'll let you talk about it. But also, as Jack Black is amazing in this. He acts in all these family comedies. The Fatty's far too, but he's just like a raging cokehead in real life and shit. Yeah. He's freaking hilarious.
You wish you had a Fatty's franchise.
Give me my fucking jelly beans. So Tropic Thunder, and that would mean your number 2 and my number 1 is School of Rock.
Gulliver's Travels. Oh, yeah.
Gulliver's Travels. Shit. Forgot about that one. Honorable mention. Like
Shark
that part
Tale.
where the guy goes up his ass crack, like pinnacle of comedy.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, I'll never be able to not love when he's giving advice to tiny little Jason Segel on a windowsill. So many good people in that movie.
Jesus. Who's the chick?
Jeez. Someone I know, but I don't remember.
I'll look it up. You can talk about a movie.
All right, I will talk about School of Rock, because School of Rock is a movie I watched all the time as a kid. Whenever my cousins came on, let's watch School of Rock, we'd sit on our beanbags at night while the parents were having a party
Emily
watching
Blunt.
School of Rock. Fuck, it is Emily Blunt. But it's just so good. I loved it as a kid. I love it as an adult. It's Jack Black plays Dewey Finn, me, and basically his roommate who used to be in a rock band with him is a substitute teacher. You're a temp. I'm not a temp, Dewey.
I'm doing what you do. I'm temping.
And he needs it. Yeah, he needs it. He needs money, and he needs a job. He needs a gig, as he calls it. How much do I get paid for this gig? And he
make the check out to Dewey Finn.
He fakes himself. He fakes being the big fella, Mike White.
Ned Schneebly.
Ned Schneebly.
AKA Jaron.
You. No, you're Ned Schneebly.
You're Ned Schneebly.
You're Ned Schneebly. This is the great debate of one of our generations.
Dude. All right. I'm fat. I'm charming. I love rock music. I listen to a lot of 70s rock music. Jaren, skinny, has a girlfriend, is an uptight loser. I mean, it's cut and dry, folks.
Jeez. All right.
The last one was a bit harsh, but
let me do my.
Hey, wait. Hey, to give Ned Schneebly credit, he does eventually learn to stand up for himself.
He does.
He eventually rediscovers his roots and helps out teaching the little toddlers rock at the end.
All right, let's go. All right, let's pro and cons list. All right, Jacob, pale as fuck, Ned Schneebly.
Hey, come on, I'll go outside.
Taller than me, Ned Schneebly.
Hey, hang on. Alright, I'm gonna look up the heights.
Has a part-time job, Ned Schneebly. I'm casual, mate. I'm casual. So basically, I barely have a job.
Hey, who
like
says,
Dewey Finn?
Dude.
Me.
Part-time.
Way more lovable.
Oi. Part-time means you work a set amount of hours every week. Ned Schneebly does not. He's a sub. He gets called up and goes. That fits the bill of casual.
No. Because he's becoming. He's not a temp anymore, Jacob. He's becoming.
Yeah,
a
but he's
real
not
teacher.
yet, is he?
He's going to be. And guess what? Dewey Finn barely has. Dewey Finn calls his jobs gigs, like me. Dewey Finn.
Oh yeah, alright, mate.
Dewey Finn has pictures of naked ladies
Dewey
on his
Finn
wall.
hangs out with little
like
kids
me.
a lot. Me. One of my best friends is like 4 years younger than me.
I already made that joke.
Did you? I wasn't listening.
Yeah, I was like, loves kids. Me.
But I actually
Dewey Finn. Dewey Finn has great hair, like me.
What?
Dewey Finn.
Dude, have you seen my hairline?
Yeah, it
It's
sucks.
mint.
It sucks.
It's
You look like a convicted pedophile.
So does Dewey Finn touches kids. So I call that a point in my favour.
Me.
Owned a
Works
guitar
with
once.
kids.
Me.
I work at a water park with kids. Me. Dewey Finn. Everyone loves him. He's charming as hell, and he charms the pants of a teacher. Me.
Since
Dewey
when?
Finn.
Give me an example.
Dewey Finn
saying
sticks.
shit.
Dewey Finn sticks it to the man like me. You don't stick it to the man, Jacob.
All right, tell me one instance in which you stuck it to the man.
All right, I'll tell you an instance where I stuck it to the man. One time, my boss was like, "Hey, Jaren, you called off work last week. We're gonna stop giving you shifts." And I was like, "Up yours," and hung up.
Today, they asked me to work on Saturday, and I said, "No, I have prior commitments. I stick it to the man."
You don't stick it to the man. You're probably very polite about it. You're probably like, "Oh, jeez, my name's Jacob. I'm a little bitch boy, and my name's Ned, and I'm so sorry that I can't work on Saturday." And I go, I'm doing something else, and
Oi.
my name's Jacob, and that's you.
As
You might
I
not
said
like
before,
it, but that's you.
As I said before, Ned Schneebly has a girlfriend. Jaren has a girlfriend. Jacob is off doing his own thing, He's a free spirit.
That's one thing I can't have a thing for. But it doesn't. It's really considered minute
It's a
because
big
Ned
one.
Schneebly is controlled by his girlfriend. He tells him what to do.
Jaren's
He's
not?
whipped and actually. All right. I'll concede the point for the girlfriend.
All right.
But
Should we table this for the next episode while I'm winning?
good, because I'm Dewey. I'm winning, mate. I'm shorter than you.
All right, let's let the fans decide.
Fans, who's Ned and who's Dewey? Two people who are still listening. Who's Ned and who's Dewey? I'm
we wanna
funnier.
know.
I'm more charming. Shorter.
If you want to do up a graph,
musical voice.
go ahead and do that.
Yeah, go on. Because I'm 100% Dewey Finn, and you are the loser Ned. But you used to be cool like Ned. You used to, but I mean, you're a bit of a stickler now. Anyway, that was our School of Rock discussion. And now my number one, Tropic Thunder. One of my favourite war movies, one of my favourite comedies. Such a satire on movies. Everyone is so good in it. Jack Black. I gotta tell you something. Those weren't really jelly beans. No shit! I gotta tell you, before this, you gotta tie me to a fucking tree. I'm not joking. You gotta tie me to a fucking tree, or I'm gonna go insane. And they tie him to a tree, and he's like, "I'm gonna tell you to let me go. I'm gonna tell you I'm fine. Don't fucking listen to me!" And then they tie him to the tree, and he's like, "Guys, I'm ready to come down." And they're like, "Sorry, Jeff." And he's like, If you let me down right now, I will literally suck your dick. I'm not joking. I'll cradle your balls. I'll stroke the shaft. I'll work the pipe, and I'll swallow the gravy. Bring it over here, big boy. Let's get it done. He's so good in it.
Doesn't he go off at him and then he's like, "Hey, remember back then?"
He's like, "Your mother is a cankerous whore," and he's like, "Whoa, man!" And then he's like, "Hey, you know way back when I said your mother was cankerous whore? I'm sorry, man, she's not." Like literally 2 seconds after, straight after. Yeah, I love that movie. I've talked about it enough. It's one of my favorite movies.
All right, so
good.
That's the show for today. But before we go, we got to talk about some things we learned from this episode.
Things we learned. I'm
Dewey Finn.
Ned. No, I said it.
That's
man.
what
Too
we
late.
learned. Let's move on.
No, we learned
We learned that Paddington 2 is a visual delight, fun for the whole family, and it will make you want to be a better person, and it will make the world a better place.
We have. We've learned no matter how bad a movie is, if Jack Black has a gay sex scene, with or without that guy who I said, James Marsden, it's probably alright.
We've learned that Brie Larson is about to have to hire some really fucking good lawyers to try and bury that movie. Like, she needs the best. She needs Shep Wild.
We've learned that even if you have we've learned even if you have a small man go up Jack Black's bumhole, your movie still can't be saved. And to put a pin in it, I'm Dewey and you're Ned, and that's about it.
We are children of film. Jaren loves film. I love children because I'm Dewey Finn. Thanks for listening. Good night.
Fuck you.
You've just listened to the Children of Film podcast.
Man, it sucks to be you.